Hello, my profane friends. And just to carry on with the Heraldy, I'm going to show you some of these books because, like I said, Freakmasons are the warmongers. Okay, and if you understand the symbolism of it all, like these points here, you see, they're the square. You see, that's the square. This is the square. You see what I mean? And it's squares within squares. Then you got your four pyramids here. Yeah, and if you count the pyramids, what are hidden in plain right, you got your three crowns. Look, you see, in your circles, within circles, blah blah blah. You'll end up with your 13, your Masonic 13. Well, I'm going to show you some of these. Again, the Knights Templar Cross, which is German, obviously, Warmel. So I'm going to show you some of these books, and again, just looking at it, you look at the heraldry. You see what I mean? It's the heraldry of the lords, the dukes, and the earls. Who do you think made these medals? Where they come from? Do you think the profane people made these medals? Do you think they could afford to do these medals? No. The lords, the dukes, and the earls, what you see like the king wears, and the dukes around him, they're the ones that make this. So here's the heraldry, yeah? This book here, the Dictionary of Heraldry, Feudal Coats of Arms and Pedigrees, yeah? And that's what you're dealing with, bloodlines, a pedigree of people that believe they are entitled to be above you and that you will be servitude to them, and they will screw you over any which way they can. Yeah, they'll experiment on you if they think that will benefit their lives. Yeah. Oh, they got it right sewn up, these people. What do we see here? Look, you see it? Oh, what do we see? Can you see it, my profane friends? You see? That's what you're looking at, my profane friends. Let's see if I'm getting closer. You see? Masonic. See? Oh, well. Anyway, that's another story. But it's hidden in plain right. I mean, I could show you the owl. If you know about the owl. You got the Masonic quill. Yeah, again. Do you see what I'm saying? All of these is hidden Freemason symbolisms. Yeah, I believe, don't quote me on that though. No, it might not be. I was thinking it was a phoenix or something, but again, it's all Masonic, yeah? So anyway, let's show you a bit of, these are the people that get us to go to war, and they force us to war. If you don't go to war, the people within your community are calling you cowards and all the rest of it, and you get ostracized, yeah, by their people. See? Who do you think? Do you see what I mean? You see? Their Masonic symbolism. Sorry about that. And that goes all back, way, way back to King Harold and all the rest of them. Do you see what I mean? They're all Freakmasons, and this is how they won their battles. And the symbolism is in the heraldry. Look, you see the black and white tile floor. You got to see that as above, so below pyramids there. Look, yeah, that's 232. That is, and obviously it's the star. But I won't go too much into that, my profane friends. Look, you think these Masonic floors, yeah, of these lords, dukes, yeah. There's your three diamonds. You know what that represents straight away, don't you? The square and the compass, and then you got his castle. You see what I mean? Because that's what it is. And then you got double square. Look, it's the two squares there. That's the forget-me-not. It's a point within a circle. You see? It's all Masonic. Yeah, everything what we deal with today is to do with Freemasonry. Yeah. And these are the family names, they still go today. If you help battle us, or who we need to conquer, there's your three circles. Look, what makes a square. See, it's all to do with Freemasonry. And these are the family crests that, when hailed, will come and protect that lineage. Yeah. And they were fighting, these families are all fighting. They fall out and they have feuds, yeah. And then obviously as we go on, that some feudal arms, yeah, and they were called to help each other. So all them fights, like Alfred the Great, 1066, all them battles are all to do with Masonic Knights Templars, the Freemasons, yeah. And you'll find these in any church, yeah, and there'll be brass rubbings, yeah. Obviously you can see that's the triple tall cross. I can't remember the specific name of the cross, but again, you know, and this is where it is, the names, look, you see the names of the people, yeah, of who runs certain towns, certain hundreds, yeah. And it tells you that Bill Wallace, you see, and that's his heraldry, and they protect each other, these families, yeah, like the Game of Thrones, yeah. And these are the people and the families that you are still fighting today, and you don't even realise it. You know what I mean? This is the heraldry of it all. Yeah, sirs, look, sir, you see what I mean? It's lords, dukes and earls, the Knights Templars. And when you know who the Knights Templars are, see, this is the achievements, whatever that means, which could be for different battles they've had. You know, I went to see the Knights last week, yeah. Go see some Knights and the way they dress, and you imagine 100 Knights ploughing down on you with horses. You got no chance if you're a peasant. You know what I mean? Yeah, Lord Audley, look. Sheer Church, Surrey, not 1491. So that gives you an idea of how, you know, and I showed you in other videos previously, how long these people have been controlling, you know, our states and our counties, look. You see? All knights. And they're still controlling it. They're even doing the stances of Freemason stances, you know. And again, the heraldry is in the shields. These are all families that will protect each other. Now, I ain't going to go through the whole book. I don't need to, because I've done enough videos on it. Sorry, I'm coughing. I've got a bit of a throat on, you know what I mean? But these are the people you're protecting, you know. The Earl, you see, of Warwick, you see, 1406. See, the kings, the queens, the lords, the dukes, and their protectors, yeah. There's the pyramid with the all-seeing eye, look. You see what I mean? You see the circles within the squares, look. Obviously you can see the square in Carnpiss, it's 4 square. But that's Thomas Burcombe, look, the 3rd Earl of Warwick, you see, and you protect his lands. Yeah, he's been buried in Eastling Church, Norfolk, from the Hastings brass, you see, and this is his family line, yeah. These are the people that protect him, you see what I mean? And when he calls to arms to go protect who he wants, then they come and help him, you know. Again, the research is there. This is the families you're looking after, and all these families, yes, 4 square right there, look, you see. All these families protect, obviously, the royals and everyone that screw us over all the time. And all they do is keep selling us our land. They control our businesses, you know. And the women, don't forget the women. Oh, yeah, the Eastern Star. You know, but these are the families. Now I'm going to, you know, but these are buried. You'll find these buried in all your churchyards. They've got all the top of the range, you know, gravestones, you know, the granite and everything, you know what I mean, with all their Masonic symbolism on it. You know, I mean, that's nothing Masonic there, is it? Black and white squares, do you know what I mean? And you see what I'm saying, my profane friends, you know, nothing Masonic. You know what I mean? But that's what it's all about. These are the people you're dealing with, you know, look. See, Henry Busher, Earl of Essex, you see? That's what you're dealing with. Earls, queens, lords, dukes, you see. And these people call to arms, and all they do, and they still do that today, when the peasants and profane people like you start thinking outside the box, what they do is assassinate you. They get their people to come in, and they pay them well, yeah, the Gypsy G travellers, and they kill you, and they make it an accident. you know, or you'll go for an operation and one of their doctors will take you out. Do you see what I mean? All these different ways they kill you just so they keep at the top of the food chain. You know, look, pure Masonic. The stance is Masonic. You know what I mean? That 1391, and you believe these people, yeah, with all this heraldry, with all this family heirlooms and whatever the word is, yeah, you think they just disappeared and gone? No. You know what I mean? They're still around in your towns and cities today. So that's that, yeah. And like I said, you can research it yourself. All these knights with their heraldry, you know, look, there's the Knights Templar Cross, look, 3 of them. See? 3, see? It's all Masonic. This is what you're dealing with within your towns and cities. And these people are there, yeah, and I don't care if it's the religious ones neither. You know what I mean? Sir Peter Leake, in Warwick Church in Lancaster. But anyway, these are the people that still today, look, ancestral families. See, their paternal coat of arms. Yeah, the banners, the badges, and the heraldic achievements. See, and their pedigrees. Yeah, and here they go, look, where they battled. And they got the first people they sent in, obviously, right, are the profane. There's your fleur de pisse, look, you see. You'll find it anywhere, it doesn't matter, look, fleur de pisse. See, they know, my profane friends. There's 4 square, look, you see. And then you're dealing with certain, see, look, the barons, you see. The barons, you see. It's lords, dukes and earls, my profane friends. I don't pretend to know everything about it, but, you know, again, it's in the badges. You know, it's their badge. You know, the Earl of Dorbury. Look, you see what I mean? This is what it is, you know. And like I said, I don't know all of it, you know. And I wish I did, because then I'd be able to spiel it off as is, wouldn't I? But everything you see here is Masonic symbolism. Yeah, all of it. These are Freemasons, look, see? Everything to do, their hands, their feet signs, see, where have you seen that before? See, the half moon, the crescent moon, you know, there it is, look, you see? Where do you think that comes from? The moon, the crescent moon, you see? You know, but these are the people, you know, and you can go on all day, every day, looking at these people, and these are hiding now because they brought all the indigenous species, so it hides them up. And all you think about, you don't realise about these people. These are the people you're dealing with, the families, yeah? But they'll tell you, no, it's nothing to do with us, how your town runs, how your cities go, how your states and how your counties run. It's got nothing to do with us. You know what I mean? But it's everything to do with these people. Everything. Because these are the ones that own the land, own the businesses, and are protected by Masonic G travelling. Yeah, look at that. Look. You're telling me that's not Masonic? Look at that. Find it in any Masonic booklet. See what I mean? He's got one leg. Look, he's got one dressed leg pulled up. Look, you see? Peter Savoy, Earl of Richmond, you see? And these are the families that help him, you see? And he leads these families. They're just gang members, yeah? And that's what it is. And they bully people off their land, take their chickens. They're just police. That's all they were. They were police. They were bailiffs. You know what I mean? And they kept the land, you know, kept everything safe and running good for themselves. Look, there's the 323, look. Squares within squares. Masonic square and calm piss. And that's what you're dealing with all the time. Look, 4 square. See? But I don't know, you know, a lot of it is writing and means things, you know, these symbols. Yeah, look at that one. Is that a Masonic A in there? I don't know. You tell me, my profane friends. What do I know? But this is what you're dealing with every day. Yeah, these are the people that are running. You know, you go back to, I'm trying to think of other people, you know what I mean? What's his bloody name? You know, you go back to like Cromwell, you know, Cromwell's time, you know, these are the people you're dealing with and that have been fighting for centuries and decades, positioning for power, you know, screwing people over. Like I said, it's the Game of Thrones, mate, you know, and it still goes on today. You know, do you think the stances they're doing are by chance? No, they're stances of Freemasonry, yeah? How you enter the lodge, you know? And this is why you'll never get in anywhere, because these people always make sure you, the profane, don't ever get up into the society they live in. You are peasants. Remember that. These people are not. You know what I mean? And like I said, what they do, I don't know if I can get another picture of it, but you can see it. That's all squares, circles, and pyramids. You know what I mean? And this is the people you're dealing with, and they'll tell you, they'll go, well, in us, even though it's Sir Robert and Baron this and Baron that. Let me just see if I can get a picture of that. Wait a minute, my profane friends. Yeah, look, you see? And this is what they did. They fight, and then they got the profane to help them. You know, the profane had no armor. They just sent you in as is. You know what I mean? And they lived and they laughed. Look, that's what the peasants dressed in. Look, see, just their normal clothes. Yeah, family members trying to protect their house, their cows and their chickens, and these people rode them down with their armor. See, and took the land, and then put their own people on there. You know. Oh, see what I mean? Greedy, parasitic people that live within your towns and your cities. You know, and they're still there today. You know, they're giving you products and you're consuming them, and they're having private parties in their tunnels or their, you know, in their mansas or wherever they live, where you ain't invited and you'll never be invited. If you believe you're going to be invited to one of their parties, you're off your head. But can you see the Masonic symbolism of it all? That world domination balls. See that? It's all to do with Freemasonry, my profane friends. And you think these are going to give you preference over their families? Like I said, it's kings, queens, lords, dukes, and earls. Yeah. See, look. What do you think? All these princes. Look, prince. Do you see what I mean? All these princes. Look, prince. You see what I mean? And then you go king. Do you see what I mean? King, Count of Flanders, Duke of Saxe Coburn, Princess Mary Louise, Charles Prince. You see what I mean? This is what you're dealing with. Yeah, look, the dynasty of Sarcoburg and Gotha, yeah? King Edward the Seventh. And that's the lineage. Do you know what I mean? And this is what you're dealing with, you know. So when people go, oh, you know, this, you know, it goes back to Jesus. It's go way back. You know what I mean? These have been there forever. Look, there's four square again. Look, the square and the calm piss. You know what I mean? It's there. All in their history, yeah. But they don't want you knowing that, and this is why they bring, you know, indigenous species, because it hides them. And these are the people that run your town halls, run Parliament, run Westminster. Just do the research on it, you know. And their shields, you know what I mean? Their shields are the families, yeah. And these are the ones that own shops down your high streets, in your cities. These are the ones that run all the top-notch shops. Do you know what I mean? And they do it together, and they protect that. You know, anyone come against that, you're getting murdered or suicided by these people because you're a threat to their system. Look, see the pyramids, look. See the pyramids, see the fleur de pis, look, you see? It's in everything, look. You know what I mean? Fletcher hours, which means stop in Freemasonry, if I remember rightly. But, you know, this is what you're dealing with. People like this that have battled for years and years and decades and decades. There's your cross keys of Freemasonry for the treasurer. You see? 3 keys, Blue Lodge, Fleur de Pis, Red Lodge. See? These are the people that keep you enslaved. There's the half moon again. Yeah. Fleur de Pis, look. See, go on, the old Cub Scouts, look, you know. So I mean, they control it all. You know, these are your football teams, your rugby teams, you know, everything goes back to the Masonic Lodge. Yeah. Do the research. These are the people still run your towns and cities today. You know what I mean? They just don't do it from castles. They're doing it from Masonic lodges. They're gang huts. No bounds within your community. Know that. You know, now this is a catalogue of British and associated orders, right? Masonic orders, decorations and medals. with a valuation, yeah. And again, you know, it's the same again. I've just shown you, you know, 4 square. You know what I mean? You've got 4 pyramids, and then if you do the subtotal of it all, it'll come at 13. You know, but you'll find people wearing this similar stuff all in Masonic lodges. You know, again, I'm not going to go through it all. I've marked a couple of pages on each just to show you out of interest, yeah. You know, and I'm going to go through it all. Again, they're all Masonic colours, you know, what they wear around their bands, yeah. Now, why have I don't know why I've marked this, but see, again, see, when I say it's worldwide and global, and it's the global families, yeah. I say global, well, all the world, yeah. Chinese, their families, they all got kings, queens, lords and dukes. They just got different names, but all them royal families are protected by the royal families of America, the royal families of the UK, the royal families of Germany, the royal families of the French. Do you see what I mean? And they protect each other. And it don't matter what land you're on, each land has lords, dukes and earls and kings and queens, yeah? I don't know what I've marked that for, sorry guys. You know, but this goes across the world, literally, yeah. And again, look, you see it? Do you understand that? You know what I mean? Because this is all Masonic. See, it's just Masonic. It's India, you know? Is that India? Yeah. See, you know, influence the Indian families again. Yeah, Africa, look, Nigeria. You know what I mean? All these families, yeah, all have heraldry, yeah, and royalties, yeah. Do you know what I mean? And all these people, or do you think they're going to put a profane person on the coins and the medals? No, it's all of their heraldry, their bloodlines. Do you see what I mean? And that's what it's all about, and that's what you're dealing with, you know. And this is what they put on the medals. So come and win this medal for me. Oh, that profane person, he managed. And again, look, you see, if you know the symbolism of that cross, yeah, it's a square, a circle in the middle. You see what I mean? And it's also a pyramid when you put it together. But you know, this profane person, yeah, has stormed the bunker and won a medal. You know, we really appreciate that because that keeps us in power. Look, see the squares, look. See, it's 4 square. You know what I mean? You've got the circle go in the middle. See, it's just Masonic. Yeah, there's colour ones here. But it's just Masonic. That's all it is. Everything is Masonic. The same ribbons, look. It's Masonic colours, look. You find that on any Masonic apron. The same colours, the same symbolism. There's the star, the sun hieroglyph, look. You see, with the circle in the middle. You see? The sun hieroglyph with the circle in the middle. You see it on any police badge, you know, because it's Ra, their god. Again, see the crosses and the pyramids. See, it's just all Masonic. They're square and calm. Pierce knows no bounds. Oh, sorry about that. Yeah, Masonic colours. The Red Lodge. See, Red Lodge colours. Oh, baby. You know what I mean? You see it, my profane friends? The 4 square. That's what that is. And a circle within a circle on either side. You see? But that's just square and calm piss. Witchcraft. Orders, decorations and medals. And again, the colours, they have a meaning to each family. Yeah. Each of these families is to do with the heraldry. Do you see what I mean? And that's what it is. But we don't understand that because we're not in their Masonic army. They understand it, you know. Same as this, look. What's this? This is the square. Because when you square it off, you end up with a square with a circle. And then you've got 4 pyramids, you see? And it's a blue lodge colour with a blue ribbon on it, you see? It's Masonic. They would make every war has been a Masonic war. And the Masonic wars have been all about keeping the profane enslaved or thinning out the herd. You know, you got people like them. Where is he? Wait a minute. Again, I'm just going to flick through these because you can do your own research. I'm just showing you the way, the rabbit hole. Do you know what I mean? But you got people like this, look. See? Profane indeed. We are the profane. See, Portugal medals, Rhodesia medals, look, Rhodesia. But all these people, who do you think gives out these medals? The royals, yeah, the lords, the dukes and earls. They're the ones pinning the, you know, look, King Haakon, the 7th Freedom Cross. You see what I mean? Who's King Haakon? I don't know. Where does he come from? That's Norwegian, you see? And he's a royal. Do you see what I mean? Look, there's Jachin and Boaz, look. Jachin and Boaz, and then you've got the square. Do you know what I mean? That's the way I look at it. Is it? I don't know. I don't understand it. But let's have a look here. What we've got here. Again, look. Nothing square and compassy there, is there? Do you see what I mean? You can see the square and compass hidden in plain right. You see? Gallantry in saving life at sea. You see? But it's more than likely saving a Freemason. Do you see what I mean? See? Look. Pure Masonic colours, look, you see? You've got the half moon again, even though it's a phoenix rising. You've got the cross swords. Mad. But there's nothing Masonic on these badges, I know. You know what I mean? Do you see what I'm saying, my profane friends? Because everything, all wars are Masonic wars. Yeah, all wars are done by them people there, them families. That's all to do with oil and gold and all the sort of interesting things. Right, what we've got here, let's have a look. Mark the page. But again, look. Look at the points, yeah? It's the points that is in the important thing, yeah? You know, again, it's the square with the circle and the pyramids, look, you see? You can go more into it, obviously, same as that, look. It's a square, the pyramids, and again, you've got the crown, look, and the acacia. But that's what you're dealing with. You know, this is Great Britain. Look, they're more German than anything else if you look at them. And these are the people that pin the back. Look, pin it on. Look, you see, by His Majesty the King. Look, you see what I mean? Fighting for the King, St George's Cross, blah blah blah. And you can go into it. But these are the ones that get you to go to war. Oh, and we'll give you a medal. You know. You know. But it's all Freemasons. They just hide their aprons. And there you go, look. Do you understand that? I've just shown you it, look. 2 squares, look, on top of squares. So it's 2 square, right? Again, a circle within the squares. And we know what this is. It's 2, 3, 2, yeah? Which is the 7 steps in Masonry, if you know my videos. And then the one above, one below, is your 9 steps in Freemasonry. But what is it? It's a square within a circle. And then that circle is within the 2 squares, you see, and then you count the pyramids, blah, 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 and you can go on and on and on. But that's what that is. War Order of the German Cross, pure Masonic, circle, squares and pyramids. And it's 9 steps in Masonry. You see, but they don't tell you this, you know, they trick you, you know what I mean? You think, oh, it just belongs to you. No, it don't. It's Masonic. You see the pyramids, look, pyramids, and then if you square it off, it makes a square. You've got a square here, look. And you've got the circles. Again, you've got the 9 steps in Masonry within the circle. Let me get a sweet. I need a sweet. I've got this tickly cough and it's doing my nutty. I'll have one of these, a soother. It's got a tickly throat. Sorry. But that's what that is, you know. And that's your, you know, and you look at the, you know, the Germans, it's all squares, compass, it's all squares, pyramids and circles. You see, square, circles and pyramids, you see. And we know that swastika makes 2, 3, 2, yeah, subtotal 7, then one above, one below, as above, so below. You then get your 9 steps in Freemasonry. See? I've done that all before, that, you know. It's just Masonic. The whole thing is Freemasonry. These are the ones that make these medals up, yeah? Or do you think the profane person who's a peasant, yeah, is making these up? Huh? Is that what you really honestly believe? Are you that profane to think that the profane peasants have done that? Yeah? Look. Knight of Grace, you see? A dame, a commander, an officer, a serving brother, a serving sister. Order of St. John. If you look at what the Order of St. John is, it's Masonic. You know, the Bailiff, Grand Cross, Knights of Justice, Dame of Justice. Do you see what I mean? Yeah. The Colonial Police, again, Freemasonry. See, because your police are the Freemasons. You know, Luxembourg. Look, you see. Let me see if I can get a few more. I've marked some pages, but obviously, Special Constabulary Medal, Royal Navy. Look, you see. And this is what you're dealing with. It's just Freemasons that have made these medals to make the profane more warlike. And go for there's your fleur de pis. Look. See, Freemasonry. And if you square it off, you end up with a square with the circle in the middle, and then you get your 4 pyramids, you see. And the ribbons are the Masonic colours of the heraldry, depending on who or what family you're serving as a profane slave. Well, it's just Masonic, that's all it is. What is that? I just want to see what that is. Wait a minute. Yeah, look. See? 2 bars, 3 bars, 4 bars. That's more likely 3 steps, do you know what I mean? But that's all to do with different, you know, I didn't understand it myself, but like I said, I know when I see Masonic symbolism, it has no bounds, yeah? Look at it. St. George's Cross, you know, the Knights Templar Cross. That's all it is, constant. And here we go again, look. Square it off, square, circles, and then you got your pyramids. You know, I don't know who this is supposed to be. It's more than likely the Boaz. You know what I mean? Or the Go-To. But there you go. That's what you're looking at. You know, any military medal is just a Masonic medal made up by Freemasons to get the profane to fight more. Look, now this is military insignias, yeah. Wandsworth colour handbooks, yeah. Again, what are we seeing here? You get it? You know what I mean? What are you seeing? Circles, squares, and pyramids. See? I've marked a few of these off, and again, I'm going to just flick through. NATO, pure Masonic indeed. Look, you see him radar and fucking whatever. But again, look, it's pyramids, squares, and circles. 3-pronged, yeah, which is for Neptune. I can't remember the symbolism of it now. But anyway, let me just get here. And again, with these badges, you'll start to see, because they run the Navy, yeah. Again, look, the pyramid, you see? Right there. Look up Mark Pascio, NASA badges. He goes right through it. Yeah, there's your skull and bones, look. Freemasonry. See? That's the Taiwanese command. Now, you think who's going to put that patch on him for the Taiwanese? That'll be the royal family, you see what I mean? So it don't matter what country you're in. And all the royals are doing, the lords, the dukes and earls, are just backing themselves up. Do you know what I mean? All the time. You know, and there's the crown, look. See? Same symbolism as Freemasonry. And that's what it is, over and over and over again. But you, the profane, don't realise it. You know, and they trick you into taking their wars. Yeah. Don't matter what it is. You know, all of these, they trick you. It's Masonic war. They're just not wearing their friggin' aprons. Do you know what I mean? See? Arcacia. Again, look. You see it? Look. Two squares, look. 2 squares. A circle. And another circle. You see? A squares, circles, and the pyramids. And it adds up to 13. That's Jamaica, that is. See, nothing's changed. It don't matter what country you are, and obviously you got the crown above. But nothing changes. Don't matter what country you're in, even Kenya, it's all Masonic. Freemasons have been there since day one in all countries, manipulating people. Yeah. no matter where you're from. Yeah, there's the Knights Templar there, look. Oops, sorry. There, look, see? Denmark, I presume. See, Knights Templar crosses. Now, again, look, it's four square, which then makes your square and calm piss. You know what I mean? That's all it is, the same, nothing's changed. Oh, that Masonic 3. But that's what it's all about, you know. Freakmasonry. Again, it's the heraldy, look. You see, the shields. You know, the shields are the heraldy, look. You see? They're just Knights, Templars. Yeah, that instead of wearing suits of armour, they just upgraded themselves, but they changed their names. You know, nothing's changed. It's just Knights Templars, you know, going around bullying people. They just changed their uniform. That's what they do. They change their wigs, their hair, and everything else. So look, they're all Freakmasons. All these people here, the top rank people, all of these, they're all Freakmasons leading the profane. You see, that's all it is. That's the army. This minor few people. How many we've got here? Let's have a look. Look, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Say 10 people are leading what? How many men do you reckon there? Say it's 500 men. 10 people, and that happens today. You've got a minor few people running towns and cities that are corrupt to the heavens, yeah, have got gangs working for them to shush people up. And it's just a minor few people at the top that should have our best interests, but they don't. And they control this, a Masonic army. Yeah, it's the police, whatever that may be, you know. And they trick us. Yeah, look, you can find that in any Masonic lodge. Look, see the badges and the ribbons? You'll find that in any Masonic lodge. You'll find it in the Cub Scouts. Look, it's royalty. What are the royals doing on it? You see, because that's who you fight for, these people. The lords, the dukes, the earls. Look, how many of these, right, do you think were Freakmasons? Eh? How many of these men here do you think were Freakmasons? All of them. Yeah? Yeah. See? Freakmasons leading you to war. These are the profane that die, the men, the family men. Crazy, crazy, crazy. Victoria Cross. See, look, there he is. See, SS Julius shirt here shown in full SS uniform, complete with the gold party badge, yeah? But again, yeah, this was in fact originally issued to those with a number below 100,000 and was awarded for outstanding deeds in 1945. Yeah, but again, it's Freakmasonry, you know? That's all it is. Arcacia, you know? The swastika within the circles. You see, it's all Masonic. Oh, yeah. Yeah, look, there's your Masonic crosses again. Look, Masonic crosses, they're in everywhere. Look, all of these. All Masonic crosses. You know, Knights Templar crosses. All of them. You know, it's Knights Templar. Look. And if you search up and put in Knights Templar, German Knights Templar, or Nazi German Knights Templar, you'll see him on horseback. You know what I mean? You know, I'm not lying, it's the truth, you know. It's facts. Because they are the Knights Templars, you know. They had Knights Templars in Germany, France, doesn't matter where, in Africa, you know, all over the place, you know what I mean? Doing the dirty work for the lords, the dukes and the earls. I've marked a few here, I'll just go through them, you know, again, British orders, yeah. Again, look, you see, Masonic. I'll just go through a few of these. It's a bit hard to do the page, they're smooth as hell, these are. But like I said, I was seeing some of these. Look, you see, nothing Masonic, you know. But who do you think put these badges together, these medals of honour and whatever? The lords, the dukes and the earls, you know. A profane person ain't going to knock these up in any time soon, are they? No, it's for them. Look, bravery in the field. And there's your crown on top, because you fought gallantly to get the gold and the oil. Yeah, here's your copper, here's your brass medal for putting your life on the line for £10 a month shooting at Germans or whatever war you were in, you know. That's what it's all about. Stupid. Man, you've got to be brave to go to war. Again, look, fleur de piss, you know, fleur de piss. You see what I mean? It's all Masonic in the crown, yeah? And the Freemasons look after the people at the top, you know, that those that own the crown and all the rest of it. You know what I mean? You find it. It's not hard to look at it, you know? Research your town. You'll see these people here, like this, yeah? Again, look. See Prince Charles wear all this crap. It's all Masonic regalia, Masonic regalia. And because of that uniform, thousands of men will follow him and do as he's told. If I stood next to him, no one would follow me or listen to me. They'd follow this man here, because he's got the uniform and he's backed up by other people in uniforms, even though he could be a pervert and a nonce, and he's going, I'm now leading you into battle because when you die, I get the credit for it with my go to Lucifer God. Do you know what I mean? Within the Masonic order. You know, and that's what it's about, you know. They don't want you hearing this. They're going, shit, man, shut him up, shut him up. You know what I mean? Because if you really know who's behind all the wars, which are freaktards, Masons, yeah, and the crown, yeah, and this is all Masonic, look, circles, you know what I mean? Always the same, circles, squares, pyramids, circles, squares, pyramids. It's all Masonic, my profane friends. Again, look, see the fleur de piss on either side, look, and the cross, and then the acacia. You see? All Masonic, my profane friend. All Masonic. Look. There's your 3 crosses there. Your sun hieroglyph, your pyramids, look. See? Got a few marked here and all. What the hell, baby? Let's see what we got. Let's see. Oh, they're coloured. That's why. Which is a good thing, really. It's quite wonderful. Right, and again you can see the Masonic symbolism. I think that's George, isn't it? What's his name? I can't remember. St. Andrew, is it maybe? But again, the Masonic cross, do you know what I mean? The circle within the cross, and if you squared it off, oh, those little Freemasons. See, Masonic colours, look, you find that on any Masonic, the same ribbon, and the same colours, the same rosettes you'll find on the Masonic. You know, again, it's to do with religion, war, and fucking crown. You know what I mean? It's the same thing over and over again. They're warmongers, and they make sure we fight between ourselves for them. It don't matter what country you're in, the royals within that country are the ones controlling the profane, the peasants. Like I said, before you get anywhere close to even trying to take anything away from these people, they'll start wars or anything they want. They'll call it a civil war or whatever they desire, and then they'll send their troops in, shoot anyone who's got a say in anything. Do you understand that? The 2 circles, yeah. So it's a point within a circle. You've got your square and compass, and it's also 4 square. See, 4 square in the middle, 666. Do you see what I mean? Crazy, crazy. There he is. Look, holding the X. Shh, of thistle, see, ancient order of the thistle. Why is it ancient? You see, because it goes back centuries and decades. See, the most honourable order of the Bath. See, but these are all families. Look, you've got your 5 points, yeah, 2, 3, 2, and then you've got your pyramids. Do you see what I mean? It's your square. When you square it off, there's 2 squares, and then you got your point in the circle. You see, it's not hard to figure out. That's Denmark. Look. So who do you think controls Denmark? The royal family. They're the ones who are going to bestow this ribbon on you, which is blue and Masonic colours. You see what I mean? This once you learn, you know. There's the Netherlands. Look. See, who do you think? The royals. Look. It's the same thing. Look. See that? See the pyramids. Adds up to 13, square it off, and you've got the circle within the square. See what I mean? Circles, squares, pyramids. There's the Netherlands. Belgium, look, same thing. Everything's the same, nothing's changed, look. You see, it's circles, squares, pyramids, and crown. Yeah? Luxembourg. Or do you think Luxembourg has no royal people in there? See the crowns, look? See? Every country, whether it's Spain, Portugal, the Soviet Union, Western Germany, doesn't matter where you look, and if you look there, look, see the compass, look, the mallet, look, see the compass, Eastern Germany, see, because it's Masonic. See what I mean? See the compass there, look, oh, wait there, sorry, see it, look, the compass, see what I mean? Because they're all Masonic. And they all have royal families, and they all have lords, dukes and earls. You see the family heirloom of this one. Where's this? This is Austria. See, look, the royal families that protect this main family is in the middle, you see. And the families that protect him are surrounding him, you see. And it doesn't matter where you are. Liechtenstein has royalty, see. And Romania. See, they all have royal families, yeah. Again, it's the same, look. Circle, square off, squares and circles, and these are 4 pyramids for 4 square. You see what I mean? Then you've got the sun hieroglyph for Ra. You see? Same thing, nothing changed. Every country is the same. And the reason it's the same is because you're dealing with the same people across the world. Doesn't matter what country you're in, you're dealing with the same people that are parasites within your community. Yeah, if that ain't a Masonic triple tour cross, I don't know what is. Where's that? That's in Sweden, look. Same thing, look. See the pyramids, the squares? So nothing's changed. It's always the same. And the circle within the squares, look. See? It's just different families, different bloodlines, yeah? And they trick you into believing that there is a division. Oh, there's a division when they want it to be, and then they go to war. But most of the time, they work together. And so long as they keep us living piss poor and we don't know who they are or what they are, they don't care. And they all got kings, they've all got queens, they've all got lords, they've all got dukes, and they've got people within your towns and cities that run the shops, and the, you know, they get to run the shops. They live like royalty, they drink well, they eat well in their Masonic lodges and their gang huts, yeah. And so long as their job is to keep us piss poor, uneducated, and not knowing who's who or what is going on within your lives. And that's what it's all about, you know. And that'll never change until you wake up to who and what runs your towns, run your cities, the ones that are controlling the town halls, your parish councils, they're controlling the pulpits, you know what I mean, all of it. And until you understand it, you'll always be enslaved by these people. Square, circle, and by the look of the thing, that little thing in the middle of there, I don't know if it is or not, but don't quote me on that. It looks like a forget-me-not. I suppose I could read it and that'll tell me, you know what I mean. But you know, see, it's the collar of the order, new model with a badge of the order, commander of the Grand Cross. So who's the commander of the Grand Cross? Knights Templars, you see. And that's what they are. These are the ones that bring you to war as Judas goats, and all the profane join up. And if you don't join up, they get people within the community that are Freemasons to say, oh, you're a coward, and all the other sort of names, and you know, you will join up. If not, you're shot against the wall, which then gives people, you know, a bit of an incentive to join up and start battling other people that are the same people as you, but they trick you with their stories of, oh, they're going to rape your children, kill you here, do this, do that, and they frighten you, you know. And that's what they do, you know. Now they've got us scared about, you know, like say, I don't know, scared about Muslims, about the people that are coming in, the indigenous species that are now coming into this country, but that's by design, because it puts them into the background. These families, these bloodlines that are supposed to have our best interest, that haven't, because we are profane peasants, yeah. They believe they're above us. And if you go to a few of their meetings, like I've said, you know, they look at you with disgust. Do you know what I mean? They don't care about you, not one iota. And they're the ones that are running your town halls, your parish councils, they're running your church, the pulpits, they're running everything. And all they are is Knights Templar, Freakmasons. Obviously there's people above that, you know, like you've got the boys where they're demole and they're being trained up into being knights, you know, but you got, you know, and then obviously there's the Illuminati and all the rest of it. But it all boils down, to keep it simple, is this: heraldry, families, yeah, that run your towns and cities. Say he runs Norfolk, yeah, okay, he runs Norfolk. This is Norwich, Great Yarmouth, Ipswich. So I mean, every town is then protected by his family. And if he gets in trouble, say he's running Norfolk, he gets in trouble, he then goes, because these are all his family that are running the shops and all of that, and their families are running shops and the businesses. He's getting in trouble. He goes then to Suffolk, yeah, or any other country, or any other knight within the town, or within the another state, you know. So Suffolk, he'll come to Suffolk, he'll go, I need your help, and this man will go, yeah, and he'll call all the banners, yeah, all the families, yeah, all their sons and all their daughters, and they'll come to protect him. Do you know what I mean? Against profane people and those that are not in the know. You've got two families here, look. See? Now he gets in trouble, he go, I need your help, bring your men, and he'll call his banners to arms to come and protect him and fortify him. So if you go against this man, and it's 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, so he's got 10 family members, just, and I'm simplifying it obviously. So he's got 10 people and you've got 20. He's gone, oh shit, I'm in trouble here. He'll call him up, yeah, he'll bring his men, then he'll call his other family members up, yeah, and they'll bring their 10 men like him. Do you know what I mean? And all got different, you know, they all got different, and he'll bring him, he'll call him, and they all honour each other and protect each other, because they always win and they always come out on top. Because the profane, the peasants that keep getting tricked into buying electric and gas and everything else they throw at us, can't be with these people, because they're above you. Their bloodline goes back centuries and decades, and they control it all. Or do you believe a profane person owns you show me a profane person who's got a crest like this. Any profane person in any town or city across the world, in any state, in any county that has a crest like this, anywhere, you ain't. You know what I mean? You're going to get this. You show any profane person, no profane person actually understands what this is, because that's why you're profane, because you're unknowledgeable. But they know, they learn it all. They know what family this is, because that's what they're taught, and that's what that is, because it's their inheritance. Do you know what I mean? And their bloodline, and they protect that with a vengeance if they have to. And like I said, they can call all of these people. This is an army. You're looking at an army here, yeah. If this is just the UK, yeah, right. And don't forget, these are feudal, yeah. And this is what they did. Look, they just used to battle people and kill them all, yeah. This is what it all surmounts to. You know what I mean? All these people here, with all their family members and all the rest of it, well, they're just going to say, yeah, you can attack us, we don't care. Do you know what I mean? You can take our shops and our livelihoods, you can take our pubs and our clubs, and you can take our hotels, you can take our piers where we do our shows. You know what I mean? You think they're just going to give you that? No, they ain't. They keep you peasants, yeah. They force you into slavery, and you don't even know it. You're tricked into it. There you go. I remember the same pub owners that were all Freakmasons, yeah, and they were the ones that were selling the drugs, doing the shit, you know what I mean? And that's what has gone through all the time, and they're the respectable ones, you know. And you see them in the newspaper, like the Great Yarmouth Mercury and shit like that, you know. But there are other stories I've got. But this is what you're up against, you know, families of crests and heirlooms. You know, this family here, all built into one. This is the family. So this family here, look, Earl of Winchelsea and Earl of Nottingham, all of these family members will be running Nottingham, you know, the towns within Nottingham, the cities within Nottinghamshire, right? And they'll be running the businesses on the high street, on the town centres. These are all the family members will be running all the shops. Do you see what I mean? And that's the way. That's the only sort of way I can explain it. But if you think these people have disappeared, yeah, you're off your rocker. You know what I mean? That's why you've got no history. They have, and they fought and killed their way to the top. And there's their, you know, they can give you their lineage. How far can you go with your lineage now? You see what I mean? And this is what they teach each other. And it goes on and on and on. And you can find these in all your churches. You know what I mean? They're all in your churches, buried there as heroes, because they killed all the peasants, took the land, took the goats, took the sheep, took the cows. And all they do is they do the same thing today. They just don't wear uniforms like this anymore. They wear a police uniform. They come as bailiffs. Do you see what I mean? And this is what they wear. And once you learn that your bailiffs and your policemen and all them people that are wearing suits, that are hiding their Masonic aprons behind suits and police uniforms, yeah, and all they are is this, and they're backing each other up, their families, yeah, and that's what controls your towns. These are your magistrates. Do you know what I mean? That's what I'm saying. You know, everything. They're your probation officers, all at the higher end of echelons. They're your social services. You know what I mean? They're the ones controlling it, and they're manipulating you all the time and keeping you poor. So long as you're wasting your fucking time and not thinking about who's controlling it and manipulating it, that's anything else can go. That doesn't matter what you live in. You go to their hotels where they drink and dine and have great fun. You won't find any indigenous species in there. They're not putting up with any of it because they don't live with it. You do, the profane, yeah. I can go around the estates here, yeah, some of the classic ones. You know, you go up the Cliff Hill and all the rest of it. No, you won't see none. You won't see any because the police will move them on. Do you know what I mean? With quick as lightning, because they wouldn't have them amongst them. You know, this is the families you're dealing with within your towns, within your cities, and I don't care what country you're in. They're lords, dukes, kings, earls, barons, and all the rest of it. And you'll have brothers like this, yeah, and they'll be your local drug dealers, and they'll be part of a family, you see, and they'll be allowed to do it because the police that have connections to their families and these bloodlines and these shields and the heraldry will allow them to do that, you see. But these will be your local drug dealers, do you see what I mean? And they'll be allowed to do that, and they'll be untouchable, you know. And that's what you're dealing with all the time, this fucking shit. You know what I mean? Look, you can see it there in plain. Look, see it? The square and the calm piss, black and white, Masonic floor. Do you see what I mean? It's all there. You just got to search for it. You know, it's not. You know, it's not made up. It's what you're dealing with. These people here. You know, you find that on all Masonic lodges, that half moon. You know, I can't remember what it is. Sorry, I can't remember what it's called. Shit. But that's what you're dealing with. You know. These people, and they control you know, they control your ministries, they control your churches, they control your mansas, you know what I mean, all of it. And because they got that authority or authoritative ancestral families, yeah, that's what you're dealing with, yeah, and their paternal coats of arms, yeah. And these families, and this is what happens if you go against them, they come together and they fucking decimate anyone who's a threat to that authority. And they've done it for centuries and decades, you know. That's what you're dealing with. Foursquare, 666. You know, fleur de pisse. You see, you find it anywhere in your town. Look for it. Look for the fleur de pisse. You'll find it all over your town, you know. All of it. But anyway, what do I know, my profane friend? I'm just a simpleton that is profane amongst the Freakmasons that live in my town, who are gang stalking, drug dealing perverts. Do you know what I mean? So what do I know? But this is the people you're still dealing with, and until you understand that, you're never going to remove these people from power. You know what I mean? And all they do is, like I said, they keep giving you actors and people you think are on your side or have your best interest, and they don't. The only interest they have is their Masonic families. Do you know what I mean? And that bloodline. And so long as that keep coming down the centuries and the decades, that's all they care about. You know what I mean? So there you go, my profane friends. Have a great day. And remember, I love you all. You're the best of the best of the best. Know your enemy. Know your Freakmasons. Like I said, there's crowns. There's kings, queens, lords, dukes and earls in every state, in every county, in every town, in every city and in every village, yeah? and they're the ones controlling and manipulating you on your ghettos of estates. Yeah, your ghettos, you know, that's what you are. You're ghettoed, you know what I mean? Because you can't move anywhere else. You try it. You try and move somewhere else. Yeah, if you're on welfare state or anything like that, you can't go there. You got to have someone who votes for you and shit like that, because they want to control you and make sure they're dominating your presence amongst them. Anyway, have a great day, and remember, I love you all.